Well, hello, my lovelies. And for those of you who visited me before, welcome back. My name is Camilla, otherwise known as the Queen of Constantia and cast member of the Real Housewives of Cape Town. So, Sabona, Molweni, Dumela, Goeienaand, and welcome for tonight's review of the Real Housewives of Gqeberha, or GQ as it's popularly known. Tonight is my review of episode 4. So before we start, I'm going to remind you, please subscribe, like if you like my review. Hope you like my review. If you dislike my review, you can put it in the comments and tell me and we can have a chat about it. If there's anything you'd like to say, also please put it in the comments. I love to chat. Yeah, let's get going. I'm going to have a little sip of my non-alcoholic bubbly before we get going. And then we'll get right on in there. Now, one thing, for people who haven't watched me before, I work from notes, I flow, I don't edit. I do write notes so that I don't forget anything. So you will find me looking down every now and then. So I don't have a teleprompter or anything, but I do have things so that I can remind myself about what's going on, because I'm getting a little elderly and I don't like to forget. Right, so here we go. So yes, we are at Unati's lovely Khoza attire party, and Pumeza arrives in my Khoza. Now, Liz, I need to apologize to you because I, number one, said that you had fallen back on my Khoza and that was a white lady's go-to if you didn't know what to wear to a Khoza attire party. And in fact, Liz got in touch with me this week and she said to me, Camilla, wrong. Firstly, I'm not white. I am mixed race and I was born in the Western Cape. And okay. Secondly, I adore my Khoza. Now, I need to say to you, Liz, I absolutely adore my Khoza too, and I'm actually going to pop a picture of me in my favorite my Khoza outfit into this vid just to show you. Now, other thing is, I need to let you know that I too am from the Western Cape, and I too have mixed race Western Cape heritage, although it's rather difficult to see because, of course, you never know in your genetic structure quite how pale or how dark you're going to pop out. And I must say, I couldn't tell at all, Liz. Neither could I tell from your accent. So I'm deeply sorry if I offended you. Totally didn't mean to. Anyway, so Pumeza arrives also in a fabulous Makhoza outfit, looking amazing. Makhoza's getting loads of publicity on this show, as well he might, because his clothes are fabulous. We, in fact, on Housewives of Cape Town went to an amazing Makhoza fashion show in one of our episodes. Actually, I didn't get to go to that one because I was off doing something with one of the other wives, but I know that Mrs. Leo did, Bev did, can't remember who else, but it was a great one. It was at the V&A waterfront. Anyway, I digress. Then they sit down and they're talking about sorghum beer, and Buli launches into what sounded to me terribly like a click song at Liz. And then Liz throws back, "Is that what you say in the bedroom to the Germans?" Sort of implying, I mean, she didn't actually say it, but sort of implying, is that your sort of sex talk? And I think Buli got very, very offended by that. And then suddenly Buli threw back huge shade at Liz as a result of this, clearly. And she said, "Listen, I get to sit at tables that you could only dream of sitting at." And then began a kind of epic war. The others just sat there gobsmacked at that. I think it was aimed specifically at Liz, and I think it was aimed specifically at Liz because of this comment about her, her sex talk in the bedroom with Germans. These two, as I said in the last episode, are setting up for a battle royal for who is going to land up sort of being cock of the walk, or head of the patch in this series. And they're jostling for position, and it's coming true. What I predicted in my last episode is coming to pass. There's a definite battle for position here as to who is going to be number one lady in this series. Then of course comes more discussion about Buli's relationship status. I'm really finding this boring. She then says that she's been celibate for 6 years while she was studying theology. Obviously, she's clearly, religion has become more strong in her life. I'm finding the others' interest in her relationship status boring, and I think it should stop being a subject of conversation at this stage. Let's all move on. Anyway, so Liz then invites all the ladies to come on a boating trip. She first says a boating trip, which sounds quite exciting. Sorry, my nose. Sounds like a yachting trip first. But then, and she says it's going to be a 2-day experience, but then she says her boyfriend, or her date, sounds a bit like a boyfriend, but date has a lake house. And then it sort of evolves. She says he's a pineapple farmer, and that's all sort of quite funny. She says pineapple's a vegetable, so that's a bit strange, but maybe it's just a slip of the tongue. But then it sort of evolves into the fact that it's not actually a boat, it's a barge. So it looks as if they're going away, and they're probably going to be staying on this lake house and going on this flat barge type boat on this lake. So, and then somebody makes a funny comment about, I think it is Liz, because Liz is definitely, I get this feeling that Liz has been watching lots of Housewives franchises around the world and coming up with things that you should talk about, or do talk about, like sort of talking about your vajayjay, or, boats, or relationship statuses, or, last week it was poor Donovan needing, extra strong Viagra, and now she says pineapples make your vajayjay smell nice. That made me laugh, pineapple being a vegetable, and I just wanted to say pineapples yes, asparagus no. I thought I'd add that in there if we're going to sort of go down that road. If I had been at the table, I would have thrown that one in. Anyway, so then you get Buli coming in and suddenly saying, must we compare net worth of boyfriends, because things are getting heated between the two of them. This battle for status is definitely starting. And then Liz then says your boyfriend doesn't even have a freaking rowing boat. And Buli then comes back with quite a clever comeback line, because she says no, because he's more discerning and he has more discernment and taste. So he wouldn't want a barge. He'd rather have nothing. Quite a clever line. That was quite sort of shade. I quite like that. Shade. That was a smooth operator type shade. I don't think Liz liked that at all, because it was subtle shade. Anyway, so then Liz suddenly, for some reason, turns around and has a go at Ash. And she talks about Ash's husband arriving in a bucky driving a 400,000 Rand watch. And she says that this is absolutely impossible, because there's no way that a man who drove a bucky would be driving a 400,000 Rand Rolex. Well, Liz, no, that's incorrect. I've got to tell you, somebody once said to me, how is it possible that you look and dress the way that you do when your husband looks like a farmer? And my husband drives around in a bucky, and it's a battered old bucky, and he loves it, and he drives around with a gold Rolex. He has a stainless steel gold Rolex, and he has a gold Rolex, and it depends which one he wears, but he is happily to be found driving around in his bucky with his Rolex. And you know why? Because he doesn't find that vehicles are status symbols, and he actually doesn't care. And so I think that is you putting your sort of class's status symbol thing onto someone else who may not actually give a damn what they drive or how they look in terms of what other people think of them. And I just thought that was just, that was just unnecessary shade, really, really unnecessary. And it is absolutely applicable for somebody to drive around in a bashed up old vehicle. In fact, it is much more new money to be worried about what you're driving and what you're wearing and what's on your arm than to drive around in a clapped out old vehicle with a 400,000 Rand watch on your arm and not worry what anybody thinks. That is quite simple. So I must say though, Liz, that your stirring that you do makes you perfect housewife material. And that's why you're there, because you do stir the pot and you'll go after this one and you'll go after that one, and you have the assignment absolutely spot on. And, that's great. It is actually why you're doing your job so brilliantly. And I like it. And I'm glad you're there for that reason. Although I do find some of it a bit mean and everything. It's not our job to be kumbaya, let's face it. Anyway, but then what's really weird is having thrown the Bucky thing in Ash's face, which was Ash, of course, didn't know how to handle it and really found it a bit mean. You then suddenly screamed and said, right, cut it. And leant over and said to Norma, hurry up. I mean, there was Ash's, Sergeant Major 24/7 going. I mean, poor Norma, she didn't have an opportunity to decide what she was going to do. And you sort of grabbed her, dragged her by the arm and dragged her out. Now, the thing is, that to me was classic, I've been watching Housewives and I'm going to make a dramatic exit material. There wasn't anything that happened there that offended you to such an extent that you needed to make that dramatic exit. If anything, you had just offended other people. You'd certainly just offended Ash. You'd made the reference to Buli. If she had a boyfriend, the boyfriend wouldn't be able to afford a rowing boat. She'd had a clap back and said, I sit at tables that you couldn't afford to sit at. So the two of you are having a slanging match at one another, but your storming out was done to create effect as far as I'm concerned, and well done, because yet again, it's another Housewives act of drama. I mean, you are certainly, you've read the assignment and you're doing it to the fullest. And, if you weren't there, it would be boring, let's face it. And you're certainly bringing the spice, which is what Real Housewives of GQ needs right now. It really does need it. So off you go. But I did feel it fell a little flat because I felt that you didn't have quite enough reason to do it. And you say you're done with Buli shit, and you're not one for fakery and pretense. But come on. I think a little bit of fakery and pretense, we are getting a little bit from you, if we're honest with ourselves. I do. Look, I have been contacted by some of your nearest and dearest who say that you're 100% real, and what I see is 100% real, and okay, I'm prepared to accept that at face value, but I'm not sure that, in front of the cameras, things are edited, is anything ever 100% real? Really, I can't believe that you were that offended that you had to stalk out at that moment. I really can't believe that. I really believe that was done for full effect. I do. And that is my opinion. I stand to be corrected, my opinion. And as I've said, all opinions stated here are my own. Okay, so as I said in the last episode that this series is going to land up being an epic tussle between Buli and Liz for the position of top dog. Or should I say top BITCH, and I stand by what I said. It's going to be very interesting to see who wins. I wonder, because it's going to be epic. Buli seems to be rising to the bait a bit. But Liz is a very, very strong, powerful woman. And she ain't taking no prisoners, baby. Okay, so now we see Unati and Buli. Unati, your confessional look was absolutely beautiful this week. Again, really, really gorgeous. And Buli feels that Liz gone for her and her born-again faith and her chosen celibacy. Do I feel that it was about the born-againness and the chosen celibacy? I'm not so sure. Sorry. I think I have to confess that I do think that Buli does do a lot of name dropping about who she knows, who she's with, where she's been, events she's been. Now, this could and probably is all true, but to the others, it doesn't come across very well. Name dropping never comes across very well to other people. And then there's also, okay, well, Van Bryan lived there, and I had a boyfriend who was here, and I know the owner of Gqeberha, and I did this, and I did that. I mean, I was very, very honored earlier this week when I asked Buli G something about singing, and she sent a clip of her singing at an event, and I have to say, it blew my cotton socks off. Wow, is that woman talented? So I have no doubt that she is very well connected. But I think that she has rubbed Liz and possibly some of the others up the wrong way by being as well connected as she is and then talking about it. A bit like when she spoke about Harrison and when Harrison got the medal and, you know, the medal from the Queen. And I was there with you. And as I mentioned, the owner of Gqeberha, and I was there at the creation of this and the opening of that. I'm sure she was. But it's ticking people off and it's making them, I think, a bit jelly. I think possibly, specifically, Liz. And Liz wants to be very much the center of the universe and the ruler of the roost in this group. Right, so Buli says she wishes she could get into the boxing ring and hammer it out with Liz. I sort of wish they could too. Be really nice. We could just sort of get over this quickly. Instead of which, I think we're just going to be stuck with the two of them hammering it out the whole season. Because I must confess, I am not finding Norma riveting viewing. Ash is very sweet, but she's very young, so she's not really riveting viewing. Unati is gorgeous, wears beautiful fashion, but she's not exciting to watch. So the two most exciting women to watch are Buli and Liz, and that is what everything is centered around right now. That's what we've got. That's the drama. The rest of it is like on the periphery. So Buli calls Liz and then says, and here we go again with what I just see as this total pretense. And Liz has called her pretentious and fake. And I'm not sure that Buli is being in her truth when she calls Liz and says, hi, my darling, and hi, babe. Because Buli, I don't think that's the way you feel about her. And if you are within your faith and your truthfulness, why don't you just call her and go, hi, Liz, we need to talk? Because she's not your darling and she's not your babe. I don't believe. Okay, so and then you go, I know that wasn't you last night. Well, look, I'm dying to know how well and how long you've really known one another. Because do you know that wasn't her? Really, 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 really? I mean, I'm pretty sure that was her, except for the flouncing out, because that was just a bit extra, just done for dramatics, for the benefit of the show, I think, brackets. Okay. And then, of course, Liz and Norma are there busy laughing at this message, and Norma's busy calling Buli cray cray. So what's happening at the moment is that Liz is busy gathering her forces. So she's got Norma on her side, and we're about to see how she's busy going to now try and get Ash on her side, and she's busy gathering her forces against Buli. Mark my words. Right. So Liz, I must say though, your confessional look, absolutely blown it out of the water, my darling. You look amazing. As I keep on saying, you have definitely read the assignment and you've got it right. Okay. So, I just want to say, Buli, Liz is not your friend. Okay? Mark my words. So, I think that the two of them should just come to terms with the fact that they are not friends and just accept that they've got a personality conflict and move on. But then I suppose the whole show would be boring. And all we've got is the fact that the two of them have a personality conflict. And so we best let them have it. Otherwise, there won't be a Real Housewives of GQ. So, moving on. Norma is right. However, in this one discussion, she does tell Liz off for being nasty to Ash about her husband driving a bakkie. Liz, that was horrible. Then, though, Liz sees it as an opening to get Ash on side. And she phones Ash and she says, come to my hair salon. And they meet up and she is sweet as pie, sweet as cherry pie. And she says, oh, Ash, I'm so sorry I was so rude about your husband. I shouldn't have done that. And I want to offer you a little hairdo in the salon. And Ash falls for it. Oh, can you believe it? Ash falls for it and she has her hair done and she accepts Liz's apology and she says that she thinks that she sort of sees her differently now, and Liz is also cheerful because Liz actually says she wants to, most important thing she says is that she wants to get Ash away from Buli. Ha ha, the motive. Ha ha. So anyway, that was all rather nice. And then Ash actually talks about the fact that she gets overwhelmed at parties and that she thinks she has undiagnosed ADHD. And Ash, I want to say to you that my daughter, who is on the autism spectrum, also has ADHD with it. And I think you might find, and I say this in no way do I mean to be cruel, but I think you might find that there's a genetic factor going on within you and your family, that with your boys on the spectrum, you may find that you're slightly on the spectrum yourself, very small way, if you get overwhelmed at functions and possibly look at loud noises and things, because maybe it's not actually ADHD. You maybe have slight Asperger's or something. Just have a look at that, because you may find actually that it's all related, because all these things are intermingled. I myself have great problems with sensitivity with certain fabrics. I also get overwhelmed, too many people, too many loud noises. Sometimes I just have to retreat and go into a quiet space and then come out again. So I totally relate. And obviously my symptoms far less than my daughter's, but definitely they have come through my side of the family, and I am very minusculely on the spectrum. So I just wanted to share that with you, with love. Okay, so moving on, Liz's chap comes by. He's suddenly now a friend. He's not a date. He's now not a boyfriend, not a date anymore. She says it's her friend, her pineapple farmer friend, who looks like a lovely fellow. Looks a bit like my husband, actually. He pops by and delivers pineapples. How nice. And so we get to meet him, and then they leave the hair salon, and I just want to say, just one thing popped into my head at this moment. I wrote it down that I wasn't sure why Liz was on such a vendetta against Buli, but I have worked it out. It's just a positioning thing in terms of Housewives. So I have actually worked it out subsequently. Anyway, so Liz says Ash must learn to stand up for herself. Now, this is very interesting because she's actually saying that in reference to Ash's relationship with Buli. But I find that interesting because, in fact, the person that Ash so far in the series has needed to stand up against the most is Liz, because Liz has been bullying Ash since the very beginning. It is only now at this moment that Liz has stopped bullying Ash. So, now suddenly Ash has got to learn to stand up for herself. Against whom? So far, as I said, so far it's only been Liz that she's needed to learn to stand up against. So, the tables are turning. Anyway, hopefully, Liz, this means you'll be kind now to Ash and stop bullying her. Okay, so now Unati meets her husband. This is a lovely scene. She says that she's opening up a line of clothing and activewear that's going to be sold online. And I'm like, yay! Because remember I said when I first met Unati, it'd be wonderful if you did a fitness app. And this is like so close to that. Fitness line, fitness app, and yay, and her husband's lovely and he's so supportive, and they talk about Nelson Mandela Stadium, and he says, can you go out and wear the clothes before the launch? And anyway, it was just a lovely scene, and I can't wait till you bring out your line, Unati. I shall be out there and buying a set for myself, even though I don't really go to gym. I'll wear it for my walking. I think you're fitter than me. Okay, but it's great. I love it. And then Ash, photo shoot. She's planning a photo shoot, and we meet Ash's best friend, Abby, lovely lady. And Ash says she finds Liz inspirational, which is true. I find Liz inspirational as well. I think Liz is an absolute whirlwind and a powerhouse. But she says she does get thrown by the things she says. Well, yes, I'm not surprised you do, Ash. I don't, because I can see why she says them and why she does it. But I can see why you do, Ash, because she can be quite intimidating. So I get it. And actually quite rude sometimes. And also funny. I must say, she is actually very funny when she's not being rude and intimidating. So she says she's planning a 1920s vintage themed event for her birthday party, which is coming up, and she's going to invite all the girls. And I say, yay, because as you can see by my surroundings, I'm rather into vintage. So I'm very excited for this one. Anyway, so now we see Buli and Liz meet for fencing. Ooh, the sting. So Liz says, the first thing she says to Buli is, we had such a lovely event. What? Liz, I don't get it. You stormed off. So what are you doing meeting Buli the next day and saying it was such a lovely event? It clearly wasn't. You left. How was it lovely? Anyway, they landed up having a stupid argument in which no one won. And they won't, because now they're at loggerheads. They are at loggerheads, and they're going to be at loggerheads now, I predict, for the rest of the season. So that it's going to be batting backwards and forwards, and everybody's going to be throwing shade at one another, and that is how it's going to go. So, and boy, was there a lot of gaslighting from both of them. Liz won the gaslighting championship, and somebody has to be careful not to break too much wind around Liz, because they might catch fire in the gaslighting championship. However, Buli did her fair share of gaslighting as well. These two are not friends, and they mustn't try and convince us that they are, because they're not going to manage. I said what I said. So now we move on to Ash's shoot day. Oh, and there's my car, my beautiful Rolls Royce, the one that I thought at the beginning that Ash owned. She's using it as a prop for her shoot day. And Ash, you look amazing. You look absolutely divine. I loved it. You look fabulous. And then we move on to Ash's vintage birthday. And I'm so annoyed, because that's just the theme that I would have chosen for the next season of Real Housewives of Cape Town, and now I can't do it. Darn. And you've got another one of my cars there. That white vintage Merc, I've got it in black. Nee. Anyway, I'm still allowed to drive my cars, luckily. But what a beautiful day, Ash. You really raised the bar. You look fabulous fashion-wise. You don't need any fashion tips from anyone, and don't let them tell you otherwise. I think you looked the best of everyone on that day, by the way. And your seating, your layout, everything was amazing. Everybody looked gorgeous. You were suitably appropriate in putting Liz at the head of one side of the table, although I don't know why Liz now needs to be at the head of everything, having just said on the first occasion that she always sits at the head of the table. I think someone should now put her not at the head of the table on purpose. But then you gave Buli the other head of the table, put yourself in the middle, very appropriate, and then Buli did a really weird thing. Asked who laid the table because the knives and the forks were on the wrong side, instead of just being quiet and quietly moving them herself. And that was just really strange to say that out loud and not just, yeah, especially, I mean, you were right. Why didn't she have your back? That was weird shade and odd for a friend. And I don't know why she did it. But your table setting, everything on point, deluxe. So far, to me, best event. Best event, hands down. I have to say, Liz, once again, you got the assignment because, I mean, it was really mean, but you said that the cars were definitely not her husband's, the cars that they drove there in. That was like seriously dark shade, but it was very, very funny. And yeah, that's Housewives. You have the assignment. Made me laugh. And I loved Ash standing up for herself and going, well, we are making TikToks. It's my day. It's my birthday. And it's what we're doing. Good, Ash. Let's see more of that from you. And then, okay. So Onati, I love this. Onati said, I really hope that today can be all about Ash and not Liz. Oh, Liz, someone's starting to see through you. Keep going, Onati. We need to hear more of this. So Liz throws shade. Oh, this shade. So Buli's taking a selfie and Liz says, oh, what's that? A Nokia 4310 or something. Come on, Liz. I mean, there's shade and there's shade, but that is like kind of junior housewife shade. It was good. It was kind of, but we know it's not a Nokia. You could have said, is that an iPhone 5? That would have worked, but a Nokia 4320 or whatever it was, you know, it was so clearly not that it was bad shade, if you know what I mean. So it's become obvious that you're throwing shade deliberately to be provocative. That's what you're doing. You are being provocative in order to try and get a response, Liz. Look at me, I'm looking at you. If you'd said, oh, looks like a rather old apple to me, that would have worked. Get it? But that saying it was a Nokia was a deliberate provocation. Then don't be surprised if you get a response. And don't come along then afterwards and go, no, but she's my friend. Because that's not true. So, and then, even worse, in an epic gaslight bomb, you go, you ladies bring out the worst in me. The last line of the show, basically. That is what you say. As I said, don't break wind, Liz, because if somebody lights a lighter near you, you are so full of gaslight you'll explode. You ladies bring out the worst in me. No, you're deliberately bringing out the worst in yourself so that you can be what the French call an agent provocateur. That's what you're doing. You're being the deliberate villain so you can get all the attention and so that you can be the grande dame and the villain of the show and rise to the top. And let me tell you something, you've got the assignment. We're watching you. People are watching you because you're bringing it. You and Buli are bringing it. And the show needs you because if you weren't there, nothing would be going on. So we have to say thank you, but I also have to say, I see you and I see what you're doing. Okay. And on that note, I want to say thank you very much for joining me. I hope I will see you again this time next week or possibly a little earlier. God bless. Sayonara. and good night. Oh, and don't forget, very important, subscribe. There will be prizes as soon as I hit 250 subscribers of t-shirts from my own range. I'm going to put out a little short on YouTube to show the t-shirts. I'm not going to show them tonight. There will be 5 100 Rand airtime vouchers, and please press the like button. It looks like this, like a thumb. It helps my YouTube algorithm. If you like my reviews, press like. If you don't do it, one of these days, I might not bother to get out of bed anymore. I might decide it's not worth reviewing, and that would be sad. Well, I hope you'd think it was sad. Okay, my angels, I love you lots. Night, night. Sleep tight. Bye.